Tom, welcome back to the Visions podcast. And today I am joined by a vision of vertical dramas and also a vision of movies. It is Riley Nottingham. Hi, Riley.
Hello, hey Reese, how are you going?
All good. So I always ask my guests to just give a little introduction to themselves and a little bit of background to themselves as well.
Okay, so me, originally from Australia, from Brisbane, grew up there, and when I was 21, moved to Melbourne. Before then, coming to LA a few years ago. I'm the youngest of four boys. I was kind of the only artsy one. I started acting when I was about 10, and I had an agent since then. So I would be going out auditioning for everything you can think of, commercials, music theater, just staying busy doing stuff. And I was also doing music and then singing in big bands and stuff. Then when I was 18, I got cast in what I look back on now. It's like my first definitely major role, which was a national kids show called Toybox, which was like a live action version of Toy Story, where I was like the Woody character, and it was acting, singing, dancing, and we did that for 4 seasons, which is in kids TV in Australia. That's 290 episodes. So it gave me great multicam experience. Four cameras on you at all times. Went to Christmas carols, replacing the Wiggles, performing 100,000 people or something, and then while I was at that, I'm trying to truncate all this. While I was there, I pitched I started pitching a comedy series that then led to a web series, and so I kind of started producing, writing my own stuff. Uh, Eventually, including a sitcom I co-created called Metrosexual, set in a sexual health clinic in Melbourne, and which got some UK distribution,
Mhm.
Australia, UK, America, and then I've kind of done every job in between acting along the way as well. That's a bit about me. Now I'm here in sunny LA.
So we might come on to Toy Box a little bit and we'll come on to Metrosexual as well, because I've seen the trailer because I can't find it anywhere in the UK at the moment.
Okay.
But I have seen the trailer and it looks very funny.
Thank you.
So, what first got you into the acting? What gave you the acting bug, really, at age of 10?
Yeah, I think I used to love my parents knew I loved dressing up and playing pretend at home. And whenever it would storm, I'd run out and have a lightsaber, and I'd just always be doing that kind of stuff. And actually was writing little. I loved James Bond. I just loved James Bond for sure. That was kind of my obsession. And mm, my eldest brother, Clint, he had actually played Charlie in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when he was like 10 at a community theater near us. And kind of hadn't pursued it after that, and because he's 7 years older than me, so when it came time to me, they already knew that theater, and so then I think they took me along to see how I responded to an audition because I wasn't interested in sport or anything. And even though my memory is I definitely cried and was nervous to audition, because at a community theater audition, it's like very everyone's just in the same room watching each other do the audition. It's quite intimidating, and adult ones for Broadway or whatever are still super intimidating. It's like way more intimidating than film TV auditions in my view. And I just loved it. And then luckily my parents are the type to support you in whatever you want to do. So they got me into acting classes, and then acting classes recommend an agent to be with, and sometimes movies go along to acting schools saying we audition, because I think at that time like Peter Pan was filming in Australia, so I auditioned for one of the Lost Boys
Mhm.
and the Sleepover Club and the Saddle Club and all these other kids shows, and I just loved it and became my thing. I think I just think it gave me my personality, uh, got me to be confident and kind of express myself. And so I then finished high school as the person who wore a Mad Hatter's hat like this really tall Mad Hatter's hat for, I was, it just got me to be really quirky and weird, which maybe led to a bit of bullying, but it was still, yeah, I just loved, I just loved it. I think I just like being not myself, not myself, maybe.
So back then, was there a person that always encouraged you? You talked about your parents, but
Yeah.
maybe in like school or in your like training when you were being an actor, was there always a person that was always, you can do this, you can do this, you can.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, my drama teachers, Miss Green at high school would always like really supported me. The drama teachers at my high school especially were super supportive. Um, Also, the music program at my school was like a really exceptional one. It's a public school in Australia, but it was a really exceptional music program, and so I was very supported by really all my teachers because I would tell them jokes and stuff, and just like they really let me get away with murder, with some of the jokes I told and some of the antics I did, hiding stuff from them in class, taking their alarm clock and setting it to go off in the middle of the class, and then they wouldn't know where it was. Like really bad stuff, but like they kind of saw me as a jokester. I mean, my mum and dad just so supportive. Like I would enter sometimes I entered competitions that then took me to Sydney or Perth, and at least in Sydney, my they'd come with me sometimes to like watch me do this monologue that I'd written, and so really it's my family, mm, mum and dad have always been
Yeah.
so supportive because I mean the cost to I think I didn't realize at the time, but now looking back, going the cost of doing the music theatre stuff, and agent, kids have to do headshots changing every year or two, so that's like hundreds of dollars, $1,000. It is so expensive, and they let me go through it. But then I think maybe they thought I wouldn't always do it, and so now sometimes they go, "Oh, we're worried. We're worried about you. It's a hard industry." I was like, "You made me. You let me do it. What do you mean? This is. I always said this is what I've been doing." And so yeah, it's quite fascinating to be doing something that I've wanted to like since yeah, it's like the whole classic like childhood dream thing, just following that. Whereas, and some people don't follow that initially and then get to that, or some people never get to the thing they
Mm.
want to do when they were a kid. Um, I also had a teacher, Ryan Williams, who was also a consultant on Metrosexual because he speaks a gazillion languages, is amazing at music, is yeah, really, yeah, he's incredible as well. Oh, Michael Mariana, my acting teachers at Queensland Actors Playhouse. I've still got notes from them because I've got important things that people have said to me. I guess it's like a diary,
Mhm.
but I've got on a big Word doc. So I've got this big document of like stuff that happened when I was 15 to now, and yeah, they're big support. And then a couple of doctors along the way. I'm just thinking it aloud here. It's actually the amazing. Sometimes you like meet people who are quite spiritual. I went to this doctor once, only once, and he was like, I was struggling at the time, mental, like I guess mentally, and having some physical symptoms, and and he was like, you're an actor. It's going to be a really tough life for you, but you will undergo a spiritual transformation that many others will not. And I was like, wow. So just that was just a one-time interaction, but those are some of the people who come to mind.
So with
Mm.
that, like those quotes or the things that your teachers have told you and everything, do you always go back to that Word document and say,
Mm.
"Oh, right, I can."
Oh, absolutely. Like, and sometimes after a big, well, after when something super exciting is happening, like booking. It's also sometimes when I find time, but definitely the big milestones. I will write down the date, time. Okay, I've just got to the final callback of this amazing show. Blah blah blah. and kind of got to document it because it will, if I don't get it, which statistically just happened, this
Yeah.
is still a record of like, oh my gosh, you're on the precipice, because and yeah, it's definitely so helpful to look back on and just see, because often the problems I'm facing in 2026, I was facing in like 2008, and so it's really humbling, and it just reminds you, oh my gosh, that's right, I have done this and this and this, and it's kind of a positive evidence catalog. Yeah, it's so it's really probably one of my most treasured things because life. I don't know about you and your memory, Reese, but with me, I might do something like I've been to Australia a couple of times this year, and right now I'm thinking, oh, it's been years since I've gone back to Australia.
Mhm.
It's just I haven't been there for so long, but it's like that's not true. Like I was so recently there, but it just whatever I'm doing, it feels like that's just it my whole life. So I find it really helpful to look back at this and yeah, and sometimes it'll be I know it's quite accurate because it's like right after like I did a final like a callback recently for something big. I'm like I'm writing like everything I can remember at
Mm.
the time of it, and I find it yeah it's so helpful in the dark times. It's so helpful in the light times,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I write also in journals, but really this is like the actual saved Word doc in the cloud record.
Nice. So when you look back on everything you've done so far, is
Yeah.
there a particular role, a creative moment that you thought, yes, this is where I meant to be?
Um, yeah. Okay. So I definitely think. I mean, I definitely. So, Toybox. Thank God you're here. And some of the verticals, honestly, that I have done are come to mind because and metrosexual probably the comedy stuff, but like in like the even the okay. So there's a story about Gilligan's Island in my life, which is I was in an amateur like pro am production of Gilligan's Island the musical when I was uh, 12 or 13 or 14, and I was the stage manager and I played a small role in it as well. I was mainly the stage manager, and that the song stuck with me though, and when it came to the toy box callback, they had me sing a bit of a song and do some basically improv with a chair, interacting with a chair, and I did a song from Gilligan's Island um and and the improv with the chair and stuff. Like it was just so me. Like I can do. A lot of people would be like singing and doing random stuff with the chair. What? But I'm like, yeah, that's great. And so me getting that and then getting this show where my job was to be my personality was that of like a 5 or 6 year old or up to 10 year old, but it was very childlike.
Yeah.
That was quite easy for me, and so and it just I could learn just on that set where it's so much dialogue because you're shooting so much. Again, 290 episodes, and each one's half hour, no ads, because it's kids programming, so no ads in
Mm.
it's just such a slog. You're just like learning, going up there, learning, going up there, learning, going up there, learning, going up there. Except for Friday, which is rehearsal day, and it's that's one of the times I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then similarly on Thank God You're Here, which was an improvised comedy show in Australia, that combination of like adrenaline, not exactly knowing what's going to happen in front of 500 or 600 people at the same time as it's being cut live, essentially. They could do some things, but it's been cut live to TV. Like, I just love that thing. Yeah, I think it's alive. Oh, there's also my own shows that I've done. I think whenever I feel like the super nerves and I'm sweating and it's like oh
Mm.
the pressure's so on. I've conditioned myself to just love it and to go. It's just that's like I like being. It's not high stakes because it's not life or death, but it's very exhilarating because it's you just know it's like well a lot of people would be terrified by this right now, and I'm terrified too, but I'm still choosing to do it. Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
yeah.
So where did your like love of comedy come from? Was it in school, like playing characters or like
Yeah.
other
So
things?
I think playing. I think definitely I would see. I never thought of myself as a funny person, and to be honest, I still don't because I know a lot of comedians and stand ups and stuff, and I really think I'm quite serious compared to a lot of a lot of a lot of people. But at school, I just would do stuff. Always, I just suddenly be a dinosaur, like
Mhm.
going through the school or going through class. I just do random physical stuff. And as I said, I wore the Mad Hatter's hat and just weird stuff. And I think I always loved jokes. And then I like learned to juggle and I learned to do magic tricks, like with card tricks and some magic tricks
Mhm.
with card tricks. So I just like that showmanship element. And with the comedy, I think it's always just been easy for me because I've done a lot of like drama projects, and I remember doing when back when the back when auditions would put in like a newspaper, just like jobs, like it was a casting call for short films. There were some really dramatic short films I did, some really heavy material, and I was always auditioning for
Mhm.
heavier stuff, and but I guess comedy was my fallback, and I knew it was my thing. I guess I saw like the show. Do you know Benny Hill?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my dad definitely like I definitely watched that with my dad, and so I think that's been a big influence. And then my my idols like Robin Williams or Jim Carrey, or you could even
Yeah.
go Steve Carell. All these people, I knew that it's such a common thing to break through with what you're really known for, and then go into drama and like break through as a comedian, and then get really known for funny stuff, but then you're really known, and then you can break expectations and go into something else. So I always kind of had that in my mind, and so um, I guess I just it came easier then because I've always struggled. I think I've always written a lot, but I've always hated writing and struggled with writing. But I
Mm,
think that's also a lot of writers. So so I guess my
definitely.
default is to write um uh comedy, yeah, comedy stuff. I don't know. I guess it's is it easier for me? I'm not sure. Like it's something. It's only the last few years that people have been like, "Oh, comedy's your thing," and I agree. But I don't. It's not like I was doing comedy. Like I got offered as part of a competition. There was like free education master classes, and one of them was stand up comedy. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And she was
Mm.
like, oh, you don't want to do it? I was like, no. And so I opted out of that, and I left. So I kind of was. Whereas I look back now, I go, oh, it would have been great to do that really cool stand up comedy course when I
Yeah.
was young. But um, yeah, I guess the improv has always been. I've done a lot of just making stuff up. I've always been fine without a script, um, and I guess that lends itself to comedy because if you're making stuff up, usually it's funny, I guess, because it's in a hosting environment or a live environment where, sure, it's great. You know, it's hard. You know, an audience are coming out for a good night that
Yeah.
they don't want to be made to cry by the host usually, um, depending on what type of show. Yeah.
So thank God you're here was an improv show, wasn't it, in Australia?
Yeah, so thank God you're here is people go through a blue door and celebrities go through a blue door and the actors will say, "Thank God you're here," and they know nothing. So they're in a costume and they don't know what they are. And they go into a scenario. It could be from present day, it could be future sci-fi, it could be from the past, and everyone's been expecting them. We say, "Thank God you're
Mm.
here," and they get thrown in. And so it is that the celebrity guest has no idea what's going on, and sometimes they're an actor or a comedian or a musician. Sometimes they're a radio host, and this is the first time they've performed
Yeah.
live, or they're a novelist. And then I'm in the ensemble of actors, kind of like SNL in America, where there's the ensemble cast who, it is about everyone, but it's really it's the celebrity who's coming into those scenarios or those skits. And so we'll throw them lots of stuff like, "Thank God you're here, Reese. The coordinates are here. Where do you want to send them? Russia, China, or you've often suggested," and we'll like set them up, and then they've got to float up. It's quite scripted because we need to know the structure, but if it goes off the rails, it could go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then in the rehearsal for it, we'll be the stand-ins for the celebrities. So, oh, actually, is this secret stuff? Oh, it's probably secret stuff they don't let me say. But in the rehearsal process, there's a lot of improv, and it's performed in front of a live audience, and it is filmed, and it's kind of secret because it's filmed, and then no one talks about it. So then it gets released. I think it got released like 5 or 6 weeks after, so quite close to. It's been cut live,
Yeah.
and it's by the people who made like The Castle and The Dish, and yeah, Working Dog Productions, a really fantastic company. And that was oh my gosh, that was just the biggest show when I was growing up, and so to be on it, like, really cool. And then there was a second, because they rebooted it in 2023, which I did, but then 2024 they did another one, like a second season, and I did something I never thought I'd do, which was pull out of that, like turn down that role to be in America. And it's still like, oh my gosh, I would have loved to do them both. And it's just like, oh my gosh, how could you? Because I loved it. I so loved it. But it kind of shoots every. It's not something that shoots in a couple of months. Like, it goes over 4 or 5 months really. And
Mm.
just where I was at, it was just, I felt I had to go to America, because it's a great show in Australia, but yeah, it's one of those. Definitely regret. Would have loved to do both, because it's such a great. Yeah, it's just great, such a great concept as well. And there's not that many improvised comedy TV
No,
opportunities, you know.
I think on Instagram there's a group that in the UK that do improv, and I've really started to enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
Because it's funny and it's just all like the one word, when they say the one word answers, to try that.
Yes.
It's quite
Yeah.
it's quite fun, to be fair. You enjoy
Yes.
it and you just don't know what anyone's going to come out with.
No, for sure. Have you seen Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yes.
Like, yeah. Okay. So because
Yeah.
that's originated. Was the host in UK? Um, I can
Oh,
picture his face, but
can't remember. But
yeah, but I know it was Drew Carey when it came to America. But like both, is it Colin or Goddard, or I don't know? But it was like that. I definitely, my brother Dean got all like bootleg copies of that, and I watched so many episodes of that. It was so funny. I would just cry laughing. Um, yeah, that's another uh, show that comes to mind. Just so good, so funny.
so improv is like you have to make it up on the spot, but there's a lot of skills that come with that you can learn throughout. But how has it made you listen, react, and stay present in scenes that you do these days?
Yeah. Oh, good question, Reese. So I guess I was always taught until cut is called. It is not the actor's job to cut unless there's a safety thing, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's something coming towards us. You just don't stop, you don't cut. And if you're on stage and the person you're with is meant to come out and they don't come out, you don't just wait awkwardly, and you just keep going until the person comes out or they don't come out, and so that ideally the audience just doesn't even know that something went wrong, because they don't know if you've they don't know what the script, even if they know the script, maybe
Yeah.
you've got additions that you've been approved to do or whatever. So I think it's helped me in that I just don't stop. So I don't doesn't matter if lines aren't said or certain things don't happen. Because it all doesn't matter to me. Like, I mean, I know who I am in this character. I know what I want, and I know how I feel about the other characters in the scene, and that drives it. So just listening and reacting and keeping on going like it's a conversation, because also between action and cut is like that's what's being chosen to be filmed, and then the editor might further cut it down so that even less of it's actually shown, so you have a few seconds or a minute that's shown on screen, but these characters are living and breathing all the time, 24/7. So I think for me the improv is just, there is no, it's given me the confidence to be vulnerable, I guess, because there's always fear in when you don't know what's about to
Mm.
happen. But that's
Yeah.
also like life. We actually never know what's about to happen, and we just think we do because nobody actually ever knows what's going
No.
to happen. We just like to Humans like to tell themselves a story that we do know, so that we feel safe. But actually, everything's hanging on by a thread, and it's just a miracle every day uh, when stuff doesn't go wrong. So yeah, and definitely the listening, because it's and the classic yes and thing, just going with stuff, being a supportive partner, and making the other actor look good.
Yeah.
And so whether that's setting them up for jokes or just listening to them or not interrupting them if they're on a really good thing, it's whereas if you're not locked in and present, an actor could be like taking a moment because they're emotional, and if the other actor like cuts off, it's like no, they haven't finished. Like they're it's it's not it's not a very it's not a collaborative thing to do. So I think improv is a really collaborative skill to learn.
Yeah. So let's go on to Metrosexual. Where did that idea come from? Do you remember where that idea came from?
Yes, I do. I do. I remember at high school. I remember at high school. So people who are like 16, 17, 18, 19, like that, or that age group, that at the time, like getting, like, if people were like dating and, or, going on hookups, like being sexually active, it would be, a lot of people wouldn't tell their parents or guardians or family. And so it'd be like, oh, hey, I want to go and get, uh, like, a check that everything's okay. And sometimes the girls would even be like a pregnancy test or something. This is, I know things might be different now, but um, uh, this is back when I was growing up. And so you kind of find your trusted people that you'd like go along with them, so they wouldn't feel so nervous getting a checkup. And so it was always like this taboo thing that like everyone does. Everyone has, people have sex. A lot of people get tested if that, and but no one's talking about it. So that was always like with me. And then after we did a couple of series that were like, um, what's it called? We did Darren and Riley and Hitstroke FM. That was a show based in the world of comedy, like stand-up comedians trying to make it, and then a radio show like Australia's worst radio station, Hitstroke FM. These were both mainly for YouTube, even though we sold sold them to Virgin Airlines and TVNZ, a few other places. It was coming to what's next, and I pitched the idea to my colleagues Henry and Nick. I was like, "Oh, I've got this idea for something set in a sexual health clinic." I wrote some episodes, and there was the Victoria wasn't. I'm trying to think. It was the health. I'm going to get this wrong, but it was the health department had done in Australia some videos on sexual health, and it was animated, and Jeffrey Rush was in it, and they'd done some like comedy stuff that was I was like, oh, they'd be open to it, and so then I started basically approaching stakeholders because I always think this is just general pitching and getting any project up. Everyone likes to be on a ship that's already sailing. So like any idea you have, someone wants it to be up, even if they can't give you money. Somebody out there will want it to happen. So the clear thing was like, oh, there's not that many sexual health series, so let's go to some sexual health government departments and some 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 other charities and stuff, and let's just see what the vibe is. Even if it's just a letter saying, "Well, we support it generally," or "We'll give you some free condoms for the scenes," or whatever, because then it starts to like be something, not just that I'm making. So anyway, from 2016 to 2018, kind of we wrote these scripts, and we thought it was really good, but really hard to get funding, and so because I built up the connections at some of the health departments. There was one Victorian AIDS Council, which is now called Thorn Harbour. They had a clinic that was open most of the year, except there was grand final weekend coming up, and it was going to be shut Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is one of the few times in the year. And I emailed them, and this is like takes 2 or 3 years. I emailed them saying, "Oh, hey, would you be free if we filmed?" And it was free, and so all of a sudden, we kind of made this pilot, this 8 minute pilot episode, and then it had taken me then from 2015 to 2018, like 3 years. I'd had the email of someone at Foxtel. They'd never really properly responded too much. They'd been nice, but just nothing had really happened. But finally, I was like, "Hey, I've got something to show," and they then connected me with the heads of drama at Channel 9. And so then something as well, that I'd been trying to, something that I'd been doing with the pitching process had been getting multiple people to watch the thing we were making on the same day. So rather than like email a link to a pilot, I try to, at that time, was like, no, for security reasons, we're just going to show it to you in person. And so I got four of our major networks to, we had 4 meetings in one day, flew to Sydney and showed them this pilot, like on an iPad with a Bluetooth speaker, watching them watch it and kind of force a decision and go, this is so good that we're confident for you to watch it in person. And I brought in a giant business card with like condoms stuck all over it to like give them. And so kind of making it fun for me. So if they reject it, it's still fun for me. And that's kind of where the idea came from. And then we did, yeah.
So it made like the pitching made it comedic even before it was like released, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like that's how you worked it out. Like,
Yes. Absolutely. And also like the also this just suits my personality. I just go like, what works for me and my personality is that, like, I've always, and I will still do this, like I just think it's so hard to get projects up that why wouldn't you, if you're in a serious meeting, why wouldn't you have a fake wall here, next to you, and you're starting the meeting, and then all of a sudden people burst through the wall and, and it's all part of the pitch. And because it's so much of life is getting, I mean, it is getting people's attention, because no matter what job you're in, no matter how high flying it is, highfalutin, whatever, you are doing emails and phone calls and the same kind of repetitive tasks and reviewing stuff. Like 90% of your stuff is just the same stuff. So it's just, we like variety and something different. We need a little dopamine thing. So it really is about, because there's so many amazing ideas in the world and so many amazing projects. It's about kind of getting the attention, not necessarily what's better or worse, because there's just too much volume. So yeah, and it's got to work for the project. Like that giant business card thing wouldn't work for like a procedural, like a serious drama or something.
Yeah.
I think, but I do think that they're just just being different, being outside the box, and doing it in a way that you would enjoy it, even regardless of the outcome, is is like really important for longevity. Whereas I used to be like, okay, put all my eggs in this basket. This has got to work, and that that can, if it doesn't work, which it often just doesn't, because that's life.
Yeah.
It can kind of send you in a bad spiral.
So you played Dr. Langdon Marsh in
Mm-hmm.
Metrosexual. What was the most interesting thing that that role allowed you to play with? Because you wrote it, so what, like,
yeah,
did you give yourself all
yeah,
the best lines or something like
yeah.
that?
Oh my gosh. Well, so I actually took I co-wrote the music. Um, so on whereas Henry and Nick like took the lead with the scripts that appeared in one and two, season one and two. There was the musical. I really wanted to do a musical episode, and if for season three, if we ever do, which I still want to happen, I'm still actively like going, come on, let's make it happen. There's some, it's a musical finale in season one, and so I got to write these silly songs about them putting on a sexual musical, and so getting to play piano and sing and be in a musical for film, like filmed, that
Yeah.
stuff I had written was like, was really, that's really amazing, and that was definitely like, wow, this is this is really cool, because and nobody really else wanted to do it or thought it was a good idea. Like I was just like, well, I like musical stuff and I want to do it, and also, and just that series. I mean, we had no, because it was a lower budget series. The right the con of being lower budget is you don't have a higher budget, right? But the pro of being low budget is that we have full creative control. We just make a series like we want, and we just give it like and with no notes from the network, no nothing, no one's reviewed our scripts, and
Yeah.
it's like pretty amazing and something I would like to continue, because that's a pretty powerful like precedent to have. Um, and it was it's just kind of a dream, right? Where you know what's going to come because you've made it and you've had some say on the schedule, but then you have wonderful co-producers come in and the production manager and coordinator and everyone, and it's like, as it's you're then just acting on set in this thing that you're creating. Um, yeah, my husband Declan was some bit parts in it and background kindly, and some of my friends and my parents. My dad's in it. Like I always put my parents and stuff. So that's it's just it's amazing to also to create something that then is paying people, and like you're creating jobs for people is very
Yeah.
nice. You hope the budgets keep going up and up and you keep paying people more and more, but it's yeah, really nice. Yeah, it's really cool.
So on the other end of the scale from comedy, you've done horror in VHS Halloween. What
Yeah.
made you go like to the other end of the scale?
Yeah.
What was that
I
like?
I mean, honestly, I wish I could give a more detailed answer, but it's really, I just like, I'll just audition for anything. If I get an audition, I'll go for it. And I don't even remember, because that this was this was first half of last year. So 2025 was like a busy time in terms of the in LA, with all kinds of production and vertical production. It is a busy time. So you sometimes doing 8 tapes a day. Like it's insane. It's like a full time thing. It's like if you're on set from six or seven in the morning until seven ish, eight at night, and then you are doing tapes like 9 till 11 p.m. that night, and then go like it's just like a slog, but you just have to love it because that's what
Yeah.
it is. But that's the context then, and so I really don't. VHS was just another. They weren't calling it that at the time, so it was just another tape that I was doing. My friends were doing. Declan was doing. We are all just doing
Yeah.
these tapes, and then I got a call back, and oh, and I do remember in that tape it was even though it is horror, I knew the director and the material that I kind of was like, oh, I think I know this person. Like, and I could see the kind of stuff he liked, and so, and his writing's just so good, Casper Kelly, that I just knew like there was a like it said my character laughed, and so I deliberately was like, ah! I was because I just knew, I just had this instinct that he would like that, and I think I ended up doing the final movie and stuff, even though he wrote it. Like I'm just going off the great writing, but I got a call back, and then I had, ironically, this was again, very grateful of it, but it was like, oh, I had to choose a horror film or a vertical at that time, and maybe something else, and I was like, oh, definitely the horror, and then it ended up being that it was like this double or trifecta of horror because I did back to back this another horror film called The Demoness as well, and it was just horror this month of complete horror. Oh, that's right. And I was doing Saw, the musical, the unauthorized parody of Saw, which is more funny than scary, but it's still horror
Yeah.
genre. And so I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I'm suddenly doing horror. And then at the time, I was also pitching, and I'm still am. I've got some horror film, two, one that I've co-written, one that I've done the story, and like so. There's two like horror films from us that are actively being pitched, and so I feel like my world just suddenly became horror, and then I was in this movie, and I didn't, and then I was like, oh my gosh, VH, this is really amazing, and it's kind of from my perspective, just here, just auditioning for whatever, and just grateful to be working, but then uh, and my managers are very good at saying you put down a tape for something and just forget about it and
Yeah.
just erase it from your memory, and then if you hear back, it's a lovely surprise, and that's exactly what this was, because if you and it helps when you're auditioning for a lot of stuff, because if you just audition for that one thing and then you're just waiting for the phone to ring, wondering have they watched it yet, or whatever, it just kind of erodes your soul. So it's just a lovely surprise when I'll call back, and then a lovely surprise when, oh, I've got it, and then that set was just, so good, so good, so big budget, practical effects, like suddenly, an Aussie in an iconic American franchise. What more could you want? You know. Hmm.
So, what do you think that horror brought out of you as an actor?
Oh, the really living in something and being scared, because especially with the way it's filmed, when the crew will clear out, so they're not in frame, so it really does feel like it's just you and a couple of other people in this very dark, scary place, and you're actually running, and it's actually like scary, and your heart is actually beating really fast. It definitely made me, I think, I yeah, it made me appreciate appreciate horror more, and just doing it because it's
Yeah.
really quite physical, and like if you people, scream queens or whatever, who are doing, a lot of horror, it is even just voice um preservation is, if you're screaming a lot or being choked or all these things a lot, it's really
Yeah.
it's really physically really really tough. So it's just like, shout out to anyone who does a lot of horror. Um, eh, yeah, I would say it's just the actual living. like living in it and actually being like working yourself up, because to be scared, it's often a surprise that's happening, and so you kind of have to really work at being in the moment. And even though you know that something's about to happen,
Yeah.
you need to kind of forget about that so that you are surprised and scared when it happens. So um, yeah.
So from horror, so from comedy, we've gone to horror. Let's go to drama when it comes to strange creatures.
Oh yes.
What first made you want to come on board not only as a performer, but also as a producer?
Um, you've done your research, Reese. Strange creatures. So it so after Metrosexual, after all the TV stuff we've done, I guess the I really want to do like a movie, and I also felt that, so this is, so maybe 2020, yeah, Metrosexual finished filming 2021, came out December 2021 initially, and then other places. But say like after COVID, the industry, when peak TV started like declining, kind of,
Yeah.
it became, it was really hard to get. It's always been hard to get projects up, but I just felt a TV was gonna be hard to get up, and so I the investors that we brought along with the series that we done, and the musicals that we done, different stuff. I kind of said, oh well, let's do a movie next. Like if it's a horror, or if it's a thing, or it's like, but something with a budget that hopefully we can sell it, make more than the budget, make investors happy, and make something great. So we did a writers' room. So Henry and myself, I think it was, I didn't say 2 weeks, but that feels like luxurious. Was it 2 weeks? It was, but it was a writers' room where we're just throwing ideas around. And Henry's not the director and writer of Strange Creatures, but we both had ideas and we fleshed them out. We said, "What about this? What about this?" And ultimately, the last second, Henry said, "Oh, how about the Strange this film and he this idea that he'd been working on, and it's a beautiful story that's personal to him because it's kind of about his family, how he grew up, and guys and not expressing their emotions, and also had the element of what happens when we age and when we pass away, and losing memory, and family left behind, and it was very resonant to us both at the time. I think that it may be also exacerbated by COVID, but and you see it in younger people, you see it in all ages, but people really, there is so much pain out there by people not sharing how they're actually feeling with each other and just bottling it
Yeah.
up. And Henry's from England, and he's very, very much. Uh, I think his family and friends would probably have watched the movie and go, "Yep," like just very stiff upper lip kind of thing, like
Yeah.
classic, which I think Australians have as well,
Yeah.
and I think got men have especially, and it was just so resonant, and the investors we shared it with really loved it, and so all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, we're making this drama. And it was also, I think, because we'd done all comedy and this was like a dramedy, it was kind of like stepping into, rather, it was like still funny, but
Yeah.
also dramatic. And um yeah, and then it's yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, but once things kind of line up, then you start heading towards it. Um and it's just a great experience to have something that was using a lot of the crew from the TV projects we've done, but a bit of a longer time, fewer costumes,
Mhm.
fewer characters, um, a lot of locations. There's close to 30 locations, which is just insane, and very hot Australian weather, and getting a hearse. Um, yeah, and then like funny how these things work out. But as soon as the film was getting finished, and we moved to America in April 2024, and then we also found out, oh hey, you got into the goes to Cannes Marché de Film section to take a preview of the film, which I'd yeah, it's funny how stuff just works together. Like when I was at Thank God You're Here, I loved the social media producer, uh, Andy. Andy Zito, fantastic dude, with a long career, actor, performer, many things. But he was an editing whiz. I did some sessions with him on learning how to edit, and he taught me Premiere Pro, and so I can edit more. And so then I was having like a coffee with a producer, uh, Lee Matthews, before like one of my final coffees in Australia before coming to America. And he was like, "Oh, have you heard of this?" And he showed me the deadline uh, of this queer screen marché de film can thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's due tonight!" And so I went home
Oh,
and like I had to do a 12. You have to cut a 12-minute version of or 12-minute up to 12 minutes of the film is
yeah.
what they'll show. And so then the timeline, I didn't really have time to talk to Rachel, Henry, others people. So I used my new skills on Adobe and I edited a 12-minute cut of the film that I submitted. And then that got accepted. And then it meant that when we arrived in America in April, 2.5 weeks later, we went to the south of France for Cannes and was there showing this very strange creatures and having couple 20 something meetings with people and it's like wow. And so it's just like oh wow. So it was such a cool uh yeah whirlwind thing. And then eventually got our distributors TV Co and now Monolithic in the US, and that's all come from it's all just like little bit by bit by bit by bit. Yeah, so definitely a big fan of like the it's I've and since coming to America, there's a thing called A List, AMC A List, which is where you can watch like 4 movies a week and everyone's a
Yeah.
part of it. But yeah, it's like you pay 25 a month or 26 a month, whatever it is. You can see 16 movies a month for that. So it just I've never watched so many movies in my life. Like I used to go to the movies like maybe a few times a year or something. Now it's like
Yeah.
you can go every day.
Yeah.
So I'm big on like making movies, watching movies. I'm definitely like movies, movies, movies.
You play
Mm.
Nate Taylor opposite Johnny Carr's Jed Taylor in Strange Creatures. How did you build that sense of brotherly history, tension, and unfinished business on screen?
Um, Johnny Carr, who plays Jed, is just fantastic. He's a fantastic actor. He is the best, and he's just so generous. So we would drive. Often we drive into set together, and there's a lot of driving in the film. So the driving kind of helped. And I think once we were on set and in the rehearsals as well, but because there has been that distance in the story where we haven't seen each other for a few years, and he is more gruff and cut off, and I'm a bit more
Mhm.
uh, emotionally available, even though Nate has a lot of failings. I I think we just naturally kind of were close at times, but I kept our distance as well, which then which made it great for the scenes that are meant to be awkward or aggro. Um, I, so much of it comes from the writing. Like Henry's writing was just so good. So it's sometimes it is as simple as like just
Mm.
knowing what lines to say and just being present and seeing what the other person gives you. And yeah, there was also like some good soundtrack and movie references that Henry give us. So there was very like nostalgic kind of stuff. I'm not remembering right now what the tracks were, but there was a lot of music stuff playing through my head to help me prepare. And the driving really helped.
Mhm.
Like a lot of driving scenes, you're just driving. You've
Yeah.
got a what's it called, a tray table, tray something, trestle. I forget the name. Where it's to the camera. There's no crew, and you're just driving along, and the camera's there, so it really just feels like you're driving. Um, yeah,
Nice. So we're going to go on to your vertical dramas. Um, Maybe we'll touch on some of them, but it's just about how you got into them and
yeah.
how you find it. So if you're explaining vertical dramas to someone who has never seen a vertical drama, how would you say, how would you describe vertical dramas?
Yeah. So a vertical drama is a soap opera on steroids. So if you're in Australia, Home and Away and Neighbours, the is it EastEnders in the
Yeah,
what's a soap opera? Okay,
EastEnders, yeah.
and yeah, EastEnders, and then you've got Days of Our Lives, Bold and the Beautiful, General Hospital. Imagine a soap opera, but on steroids. There's more sex than you can believe. There's more violence than you can believe. There's more drugs than you can. There's more aliens and vampires and werewolves and everything that you can believe. And it is 60 to 90-second episodes, and they're called vertical because yes, they usually are vertical to be watched like in portrait mode on your phone. However, the style is actually everything that would usually happen in half an hour is happening in 1 minute, and it is
Right.
so boom, 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 dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. I cannot believe this, and you get to watch 14 or 15 episodes for free, and then you've kind of got to pay for the rest. That kind of model. And then if the person asks for more questions, I'd go, well, did you hear of this thing called Quibi that started in COVID by Jeffrey Katzenberg? And if they go yes or no, I go, well, Quibi was the precursor to this, and this was the biggest directors, including Steven Spielberg and I think The Rock, lots of big people. It was $1 billion in funding, 2019 into 2020, like 5 to 10 minute episode, like short episodes, premium TV for your phone to watch while you're on public transport. COVID then destroyed it because no one was on public transport, and it was massive, massive failure. But then China saw that and saw the promise of something, and then started adapting their web novels, and then kind of it was like Quibi was too early, even though Quibi failed. Really, what we're in now in 2026 is this idea that I mean everything is on everything is it can be on your phones, like whether you're watching Netflix or YouTube or anything. A
Mm.
lot of people watch it on their phones, and sometimes something will be widescreen if you turn it, but so many people are happy to watch
Yeah.
a very small box even though you could turn it, and that's just
Yeah.
what people do. um and so the LA started to become in 2022, but really 2023 started to be the kind of the mecca of the Western filming these dramas, which are usually it was 7 to 12 days of filming. You're filming a feature films where so like 100 minutes of content. You're filming it in definitely within a 10-day window, and the budgets of either 150 to 300,000, which sounds like a lot of money maybe, but that's not. Cause like usually a movie might be 10 to 30 million or 1 to 5 million, and so these movies are being made every 10 days, and they are being greenlit. They're being written, greenlit, and produced and released sometimes within 2 months. So just like Hollywood with movies goes, okay, what are people going to like in 2 years' time or 3 years' time? Because that's how long it takes to kind of get something out. Okay, and you can plan some event stuff like make a horror film around Halloween and everything, but like TikTok trends, like okay, what's trending right now? Verticals are kind of this mix between TikTok, and in China's case, TikTok is an employer and a creator of verticals. TikTok does verticals, and they own some of the vertical platforms. Uh, the, yeah, vertical dramas are a blend of TikTok and traditional um, soap opera and a bit of commercial as well. Um, and that's kind of, and then the person would probably be like, "Wow, Riley, that was a really big explanation. I didn't want to know that much."
I think that line, soap opera on steroids, is the best line I've had for that question. I'm telling you now. The best
Okay.
line. How did you find when you first got into verticals? How did you find the pacing? Did it shock you at first, or was it?
Honestly, I think Australia has prepared me well. It wasn't a massive shock because all the indie stuff in Australia that I've done is you're like you're really doing a lot. Sometimes it can be a lot of lines we're trying to get through way more than we should be on a day. And I've done lots of corporate stuff. I've done so many gigs that are like, oh my gosh, squeezing everything out of everyone because the budgets are just lower in Australia, and so you have fewer people, yet they're wanting more and more
Yeah.
from you. And so honestly, I went to one of my first gigs. I think it was July 1st, 2024. Was a commercial. It was a commercial for an app, like a Candy Crush like app, and it was like a mobile game commercial for a mobile game app, and it was a really fun day of doing crazy stuff, a bit of dialogue and just crazy stuff. And then that producer then a few days later said, "Oh, do you want to come to this next thing?" And that was my first vertical. And what I worked out was it was all the same crew, but what I worked out was the this he was an app developer, and he was then creating his own vertical app. And so I think it was his team was in Hong Kong, and they were making this app. And so he was, as well as doing his games, he was making his own series and then using the actors between the commercials and the series. And so then it's like, oh, what's this? And then you get to be on set, and people are like, oh, this is my second one, my fourth one, and you starting to learn more and more. And the pace was insane, but because it's just so much dialogue
Mhm.
that, but I'm there going, this is amazing. Like I get to be on set, and you're paying me. I've just arrived to America, and I can legally work in America, and you can legally pay me in America. This is so exciting. And then it just got more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And the pace is relentless, but also it's I'm not one to complain because it's like, well, a lot of people want to be doing this, and a lot of people would do it for free, but you're paying me, so
Nice. So what is the challenge of creating chemistry or conflict quickly when scenes have to, like, you have to be done with a cliffhanger at the end of maybe a minute. So how do you create chemistry and conflict in those short scenes?
oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I think definitely just analyzing the script and what uh what what the point of this scene is or this episode is, and just knowing where it's going to go to. Because you always kind of need an escalation. You don't want to be like one note all the time. So I think it's just finding. I guess it's just like finding the times to be up here, but then to be, you just need the highs and the lows for your own sanity, but just because people aren't the whole time, like it
Mm.
needs to build. So I think I think just tracking, just knowing what's going to happen and tracking where it's going to go, um, is what you need to do. And also, like, and people make fun of the scripts, and people always go, "Oh, the scripts," even though they've got better. A lot of people say, "Oh, vertical scripts are bad," blah 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 blah. And like, yes, you can say all that, but actually, there is very often they're a very specific genre, and they're often quite clever what it's asking for. Like, if you actually look at what you're saying and the other characters are saying and what the story is, actually it will, and sometimes it will even tell you. It'll tell
Mhm.
like it will tell you, um, this line, whispering. This line is angry. This is like, because a classic and like a really helpful thing is, say in a script there's dialogue, and then in parentheses in the brackets it says, okay, Riley says angrily, stuff you, get away from me,
Yeah.
right? Because it said angrily there, well, actually, the writer has intended that the lines before that were not angry. Otherwise, it wouldn't have said "be angry" on this line.
Mm.
So I choose to use that as a clue that, well, I'm going to take anger out of my options for the previous lines. So I like to look at little stuff like that. And when you go over and over a script, you can. I do think you can find those things, whether it's intended by the writer or not. I still think it's like a really, it's kind of like your, it's I always go back to the script. Even sometimes people go like, well, director said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you collapsed to the floor like that. That was amazing." I was like, but it literally says collapses to the floor and begs. So like, I collapse to the floor and then I beg. Like, I'm just doing what it says. So often I try to follow it pretty literally, because I think it's pretty entertaining as well. So yeah,
Yeah. So vertical content can reach audience very directly and very quickly. What
yeah,
do you think performers can learn from that immediacy, like immediately? Like what can you learn from that?
yeah. The feedback is the listening to feedback, right? Because if I think everyone can learn that, like, if you put something out and some people like it, it's like great. There's an audience for that. Like, people are liking that. If you put something out and like people aren't really finding it funny or finding it engaging, you can then ask why. Like, is it just that actually not enough people have seen it, so it needs a bigger sample size for people to watch it, or is this not hitting the mark right now? And then you can always make a decision. No, I really believe in this. I'm going to keep on doing because people will catch up. Like Seinfeld, my favorite TV show. A lot of people didn't. It wasn't until really season 3 and 4 that people started going, "Oh my gosh, this is a masterpiece." So sometimes the feedback is like, "Oh, I'm not going to listen to it."
Mm.
But it's still, you make an assessment. You're not just operating blindly. I think that's what verticals have done very, very, very well, and it's very hard because also you've got to work out if you want to do the thing it's telling you to do. Like, I don't know if I put out something, or and it was like, oh, people hate when you touch your head or when you do this
Mm.
thing. I'd have to go, oh, do I care? Maybe I don't, like, do I want to micromanage my whole personality so much to get a certain outcome of, do I actually care about that? So, but I still think it's the idea of putting something out, and for an audience to decide yes or no, do I like this or not, am I resonating? I think is actually has actually maybe even come from the fact that there have been lots of movies that, it used to be that you could put out a movie and it would kind of do well because there weren't that many movies, and so going was an event. But now it's really hard to get people's attention. So I think it just, uh, yeah, it certainly made me like very, very conscious of the fact of like, I'm going to put something out, do the smallest viable product, and that's also what verticals are cheap. So it's like it's yeah, that's also what I've really loved about them, because from everyone's perspective, it's like it just doesn't. The pressure is there, but also not there, because it's like there's going to be 500 more released with it tomorrow. So it's kind of like going out on stage, like, oh, flood the line, this didn't work well. Oh,
Mm.
well, just on to the next one. Like, it's not like this vertical has to be so big or our careers are over. It's like, no, it's kind of disposable. Like, I don't think anyone is going to be watching any vertical I've done in 10 years. Like I don't think any of them have been Titanic. I loved so many of them. But they're just so of the time
Mm.
that it's like no one's ever watching TikTok stuff that was trending 2 years ago, or damn Daniel, the white vans, like it's very 24-hour cycle. So I think if you can embrace that, it's very like it's just very fun. Um, hmm.
Do you think though that TV and movies, like creators, should take a maybe notes from the way verticals are made? Because in my opinion, I think verticals have like, especially with me, they've taken over TV.
Yeah,
For me, I watch verticals more than I watch terrestrial TV.
yeah.
Do you think TV shows, creators, movies should take a few notes from vertical creation?
Oh, yeah. I do, Reese. I think that st- that there are so many things about, and I love traditional filmmaking. Give us the biggest budget. I love the Odyssey. I love big stuff and all the very specific roles that take decades to really learn and master, and the different professions to do with embroidery and everything, costume, all facets of
Hmm.
film, TV production. I love. However, what I think everyone can take from verticals is that it is indie filmmaking. It is very, very low budget, and yes, often it is too low, and it's not realistic, and probably the low still needs to be even a bit higher. But fundamentally, it's understanding, hey, most people outside the industry want a good story and engaging performances, but they don't necessarily care about the color in the wall and the thing and the framing of like all this shadow stuff that that yes, a lighting designer would be like, oh my gosh, there's too much shadow and it's not color graded, and but the general punter just wants like it's the story, and it's kind of you can there's a lot of money that's put into stuff that probably is like cherry on top, but you don't need it.
Mm.
Um, so I think everyone can take from verticals that of just how quickly you can do something, and how with few characters or few crew, how you really can make something that people really really love watching it and gives an emotional response. It doesn't always have to make sense either. Like it doesn't need to, because humans sometimes we just feel stuff because it just feels we just have a feeling about something and you can't explain it with logic, or so it doesn't always have to what I'm trying to say is like it it follows a emotional. Do you feel something emotionally? Do I connect with this emotionally? Does this make me feel something? Yes or no? That's the question. And verticals have done that so incredibly well, because anyone who watches them, you are drawn in.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, um, yeah. It's and it and if you understand the genre you're in, the canvas you're trying to paint within, there's still a lot you can do. Like I've put so much, and a lot of people most people I think put so much into trying to make it the best it can be. Just like if it's a little theater, a roving character performance, or a little theater show I've done for an audience of like 7 people, I'm still putting the same thing in, and verticals are no different. And probably the broader industry is probably like verticals was something that laughed at, and but it has it's billions and billions and billions of dollars in that industry now, and everyone's getting in on it, and it's it's kind of like a people. It's a people. It's because people have embraced it and are watching it that now the broader Hollywood is like has sat up and take notice. So it's kind of like driven by the people. Um, so it's probably a good. I know it's an interesting time, Reese, because it's very and AI stuff and the and just humans with addiction to with there's probably a loneliness epidemic in the world. I think more when I think of lots of people in my life and just people I meet of all ages, I just think loneliness and the need for companionship is greater than ever. So it's just an interesting time in the world, though. So I'm very curious what happens the next few years to the human race.
Right, so before we get on to the final segment, when you think about the next chapter of your career, what do you want it to feel like creatively?
Oh, that's a really good question, Ace. I want it. I want to be really present and tactile, like uh, real. I want it to be about connection. I'm feeling a pull already to get back into some writing material to perform live for an intimate audience. I love like an audience of 20 or 30 or 40 or 50,
Yeah.
like a small crowd, and be not just be present with people. Like I don't love I'm not someone who's glued to my phone all the time, and I love like the technology and the internet, like us being able to do this is incredible. Like it's so
Yeah.
amazing, but I definitely just love more and more. Like I want, I want paper. I want a pen or pencil. I want physical. I want eye contact. I want being in the moment. I want curiosity. Uh, yeah, that's what I want for my next phase, even more than I have been. Yeah.
So I have two signature segments for this podcast, and the first one is who are your visions? So it's it's just to get who inspired you when you were younger, what you love to watch now. So the first one is visions of TV and movies. So it could be a TV show, a movie that you love, or an actor or an actress that inspires you.
Titanic, Titanic, Titanic. Titanic. Kate Winslet, Christian Bale, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow.
Those are some people right now thinking of. Um, oh, but yeah, Titanic is everything to me.
Nice.
That's definitely big for me. Um, yeah, yeah. Also, think John Denver. I'll throw John Denver in there as well.
Okay, a vision of music, an artist who is constantly on a replay for you.
Okay, I'll say Savage Garden, Josh Pike. Savage Garden from Brisbane, like me, and against all odds, became just the absolute biggest thing, and just amazing songwriters. And uh, first album came out in 1997, same year as Titanic. So it's very like Titanic and Savage Garden are two very big things for me.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so vertical vision is one word or a phrase to describe your time, your experience in the vertical space.
Oh, Fast and Furious.
Okay.
I would say, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I think that's like because it is just well, I and it has, and maybe this will come back, but verticals are very like I thought coming to America would be kind of wouldn't have that many friends because I'm not like at the very start of my career. I'm not like coming out here at 18, and that it's like I've kind of done a lot of stuff in Australia, and so I was expecting to be by myself a lot. But what verticals have meant for me have been this community of hundreds of people, probably over 1,000 people, who you see. It's like you're on set, they're on set, and you're like, oh hey, I'll see you next week on this thing, and it's like this little family every day. It's just like I felt the sense of community. It's just incredible and really special because I the closest thing to that from talking to people in LA was like in the 90s when people were going like to Seinfeld and all
Mhm.
the 80s and 90s going to all these auditions all the time and seeing different people, different sitcoms they were doing. And like verticals have kind of been that for me in my life of just like, wow, it's like you see the same person 50 times on all these different environments. And it's like, wow, that's so special. Um, so yeah, verticals have a really special place in this is a really special phase of life.
Nice. The Visions Book Club, that could be an author or a book that you love reading.
Oh, has has anyone said? Okay, well, I'll give. Okay, I'll give. Has anyone said The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield yet? I'm sure.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll say that. I'll also say Derek Sivers, and I'll also say Jim Lower. Um, I forget all of his books, but Jim Loehr is I think how you spell his name. Um, yeah, and Jimmy Carr and Jimmy Carr's Jimmy Carr, Jimmy Carr, Before and Laughter.
Okay, that's a curveball, that one.
Have you read it?
No, but I know of Jimmy Carr. I think he's hilarious.
Oh, you would
All the shows he
love.
does.
Yeah. Oh, his book is good. It's like half self help, half biography. It's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So our final segment is this or that.
Okay.
So I'll give you two options, and you have to pick the best one that describes you.
Okay.
Okay, first one. Walk on a beach or walk in a forest?
Walk on a beach.
Text message or phone call?
Phone call.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Road trip or direct flight?
Direct flight, but fine. But anyway,
Podcasts or playlists?
podcast.
Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Board games or video games?
Ooh. Board games.
iPhone or Samsung?
iPhone. Who's saying Samsung?
No one actually.
Yeah.
No one said Samsung yet.
Yeah.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Alone time or time with friends and family?
Time with friends and family.
And that's them done. That's 10 of them. Thank you so much, Riley. That has been a great conversation. It's been a great interview, and it's been the longest one I've done as well. So,
One. Yes. Yes, I got that. I know. It was a bit of a challenge to get the date and time together. So I'm happy to finally get in there and be the longest. That's good. I can take that to my grave.
yeah. So, thank you, Riley. It's been amazing, and it's been great.
It's been awesome. I love talking to you. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, Reese. Great questions.